Good morning. Welcome to another Think Tank. For those of you who haven't met me yet, I am Olivier Lewis, broker owner of the Cranford office. So welcome to our other agents from our other offices or anyone else out there watching. Today, I'm very excited to really cover a different way to approach and look at doing open houses. For those of you that have heard me talk about open houses in the past, I may be covering some different techniques that I haven't mentioned before. So stay tuned, hit the like button, put in a comment, let me know you're there. Any questions, of course, type them in to the comment box and I will address. So it is peak season for open houses. I know during these times we're not talking about it as much, but of course, April is National Open House Day across the country for realtors. And this time of year is peak season when sellers look to put their homes on the market. So, what does that mean for us? Sellers are paying attention now more than ever to what's going on in the marketplace. Sellers are also looking at who are they going to list their home with, who has a presence, and roughly what their home is worth based on what the neighborhood activity is. So, with all of this, with sellers and of course buyers, with all the demand we have, open houses should be part of your strategy to lead generate not only for buyers but also for sellers. Now, you have to really take it seriously as far as doing an open house. I know, and I've kind of been guilty of it. I've looked at open houses as a chore sometimes, but they absolutely are not. It's a very good way to meet people, generate clients, and it's a very good ROI, right? It's a good return on your investment as it's not that it's not that costly to set up and do an open house, but you can have great results from it. And I'm going to cover what I like to call my 1-for-1 strategy of how to always pick up a buyer and do a consultation from an open house. So sellers, future sellers, etc., are looking for an agent. So this is a great way to show that you're local, get in front of people, show your presence, and of course, generate clients and opportunities. So again, give it 100% for it to be effective and it will work. So let's start with the game plan and the process. One of the problems with open houses are we kind of do them and set them up after the fact. It's an after fact thought. So we put the listing in, it goes live, and we're like, oh, yeah, an open house, right? But let's plan ahead. If you plan ahead, you will have more success and it will be more effective. So when you're putting in the listing, just automatically default to I have to do an open house and it will be Sunday 1 to 3 or 1 to 4, whatever you want to do. So if you put it in with the listing, one, it syndicates right away. So when a buyer gets the new listing alert, whether it's from the MLS or any of the third-party portals, they're going to see the open house already published. And guess what? If they don't have an agent, they might just say, hey, I'll come to the open house versus calling someone. So set it up right away with the listing so it's done and it's published and syndicated everywhere. Second, get your marketing material together. That takes some time. It's not overnight. Say yes, you can print them yourself, but if you're ordering them from one of the printing shops, the nice fancy brochures, if you're getting flyers, etc., from First Team, and to plan your open house the day you list the property or have it in your mind that you're going to Tuesday, Wednesday, you have time, depending on what you're doing, to hopefully get your marketing material in. Even if you're listing it Saturday, Sunday, and you're doing it the following week, you have time. So plan to have your marketing material there. Why? It's not going to sell the home, but it may help you get another listing if you can show the seller your marketing plan and that you're taking all of your listings and giving them the same kind of exposure and process. Because when a seller walks in, they're not necessarily looking to buy the house. They're looking to interview you or kind of get a feel for what's going on in the market. So if you do a good job and you have everything laid out, your brochures, your flyers, etc., it will impress sellers. So open houses are for two, seller and buyer lead gen. So be prepared, get your marketing stuff ordered so that you can hopefully have it for the open house. And yes, There's going to be occasions where you can't get it ahead of time because of printing, etc. At the least, print the flyer from the MLS, do it in color, of course, and just have something there. So mail, what I would do next is mail an invite to the neighbors. And by neighbors, 5 on your left, 5 on your right, 10 across the street, your immediate neighbors. And why I would mail a handwritten note, and it could be anything as simple as a Remax card. Hey, I'm hosting an open house at 123 Main Street. I'd like to personally invite you and meet the neighbors. Also, if there's anything I can do for you, if you have any home needs, finding out what your home's worth, etc., I'm always here. Give me a call. Here's my business card, and it's from 1 to 3. I would do that because it differentiates yourself, right? You're personally inviting them. It saves time for you instead of having to initially go knock on the doors. And we're going to talk about knocking on the doors afterward. But it saves time, and you're inviting them ahead of time. So if they had some errands to run, but they are one of the nosy neighbors, you're allowing them ahead of time to know that it's Sunday from 1 to 3 or whatever your schedule is, so they can kind of plan around it. And again, it differentiates yourself from the other agents they may be looking to interview, considering, or looking at their marketing materials, right? Next, I would do a Facebook ad. This worked very well for me as an agent. And you have to do the ad based on your areas. So let's use our office locations. If I am doing an ad in Cranford, if I'm doing an open house in Cranford, I would do the ad and boost it to knowing Cranford. A lot of Staten Islanders are moving here. A lot of NYC is moving here. Your local towns like Garwood, Union, Westfield, Scotch Plains, etc. The local towns, that's what I would boost it to. If I were in East Brunswick, I would use the surrounding towns, right? North Brunswick, East Brunswick, Milltown, wherever the buyers are moving to. Same goes with Hamilton, wherever the buyers are moving to. That's what I would use to boost the ad. And if you know that they're coming from New York, quick couple tips. When you're trying to boost an ad to Staten Island, it may not come up. You may have to type in Richmond County, which is AKA Staten Island. And that's how you can do that. Same goes for Brooklyn. Brooklyn does not come up. Kings County comes up, and that is the entire Brooklyn. And I know this from experience because I ran into these challenges and figured out how to work around Brooklyn and Staten Island by putting in the county names. But that's a quick tip on your Facebook ads. You don't have to break the bank on it, $10 budget, but it is highly effective. And I used to ask people, how did you find out about the open house? And they would say, I saw it on Facebook. I also used to get calls because people would say, hey, I'm running late. Can you wait, or will someone be there, etc. And I would say, sure, no problem. By the way, how did you find the ad? How did you find out about the open house? Oh, I saw it on Facebook. I'm coming from Brooklyn or Staten Island. And it really showed me that my ads were effective and it was targeting the right people, as I directly generated clients and drove them to come to the open house from my Facebook ads. $10 budget for each listing goes a long way. And that's something else you can show the seller. Hey, I reached organically 500 people, but through my marketing efforts, another 2,000 people from ads that I ran. And that goes very, very well with your seller. Plan to get there an hour in advance, right? I've been guilty of this. It's at 1 o'clock and you show up at 1 o'clock and you're scrambling and then you're sweating because you're running around like a maniac. Plan to get there an hour in advance. There's a lot of setup. There's a lot to prep with the home. Sometimes you got to clean stuff up, move stuff around, etc. And putting in the directionals, making sure you can park in the right location. Plan to get there an hour in advance. Worst case scenario, guys, you're done and you have half hour to kill. One, you can follow up with clients. Two, you can clean up emails because you're going to be offline for probably 2-3 hours, right? Where you're going to be busy. So it gives you time to catch up with things before you go in to an open house for a couple hours, and you're not going to have time to look at your phone. So plan to get there an hour in advance. I was a fan of getting my own directionals. Order directionals from one of the vendors. I did order them with my phone number because I found that people had a hard time following the arrows, and you're 4 blocks apart, 5 blocks apart. God forbid one flies away or someone takes it down. They get lost and they don't know when to keep going and turn. So I had my phone number on the directionals, and I would also use a Sharpie dry erase marker rather, and put in the address sometimes if I had space. And I found that that helped as well. So order your own directionals. I definitely would have my phone number. Someone looking in Cranford, Hamilton, East Brunswick, Middletown, and they see an open house sign, if they're interested, they're going to call you and say, hey, what's the address? I'm trying to find your open house. So if you don't already, order some directionals. So whether you're doing the balloons from the dollar store or Party City, wherever you get the balloons from, or if you're using one of the office balloons, the big 8-foot balloons, definitely do something. Sellers almost expect it. It gets people's attention, of course. And for those of you that want your own balloon, you can buy them. I get emails from the third-party vendor that sells them occasionally. I believe they're about $200. It's a great investment. And I also believe on the bottom, I'm just going to keep going. All right. I think I was buffering for a second, but if you want to, definitely look into getting your own balloon. Now, signing in is something that is a little different the way we do it now because of COVID, etc. I'm a big fan of getting a picture frame and saying, welcome to my open house. To sign in, please text me your name, email, and whatever other questions you guys may have. If you're working with a realtor, how'd you find it, whatever. But name, email to my number. I'm a big fan of that because it automatically puts you and them in each other's phone. So I lose business cards, people hand them to me and I just throw them somewhere and then I can't find it again. Or a buyer going into an open house that gets 3 different business cards, so they go to 3 open houses, picture, no picture, sometimes it's a blur, where did I meet this person, etc. So I like having them in the phone. It's easier to follow up. It's harder for them to ghost you when they text you initially. And it's also, if you save them, now it will connect you to social media and come up as a suggestion as someone you may know. So there's tons of value. They're not going to misspell, or you're not going to not be able to read their handwriting if they signed in on pen and paper with their email address or their name. So it just cleans up all that. It's very efficient. And you don't have a line of people like waiting to physically sign in, and not everyone has to touch the same pens, etc. Or you can do it in a QR code that takes you to a landing page. I just like to text because they text you. It's easy to follow up. You have all their info. They're in your phone. It's easy for them to follow up with you as well because they text you. So even if they lost a business card, they look in your text and you're there. So I say have a picture frame and just print it out. You can make it fancy, put some houses or Remax balloons around it, but that's how I would have them sign in. And then this is kind of the golden nugget here of how to generate a client from every open house. Have a preview property set up. So what you're going to do is find a like and kind property, similar price point, etc., but something that doesn't have an open house. So if you're doing one on Main Street, try to find a similar 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, ballpark, same price. Find a listing that does not have an open house. And what you need to do is schedule a preview appointment. So if your open house is from 1 to 3, schedule a preview from 3:30 to 4:30. And what you're going to do is everyone that's leaving the open house, I would say, hey, what'd you think about this house? Does it work for you, etc. When they say, we don't like it, it's not the right house, say, hey, I'm previewing another house that doesn't have an open house, so you're not going to be able to just walk in. Why don't you grab some coffee, kill half hour or whatever it is, and meet me there at 3:30. And you're going to say this and offer this to everyone that leaves until someone says yes. Someone says yes. What you just did is you got a one-on-one appointment with a buyer. You just differentiated yourself from all the other agents, from all the other open houses they went to that day, the week before, the month before, etc. And when you get to the house, you can do a one-on-one consultation and really win them over and tell them, hey, you're never going to get a bill for my services. You don't have to write me a check, but I get to represent you and I can show you not just the open houses, but every home on the market. And there's probably more homes without an open house than homes with an open house. So think about how much inventory you're not getting to see. And that's how you're going to convert and generate a buyer directly from the open house. A couple of agents have done this and asked me, well, why don't I just get as many people to go? You can't have a mini open house if someone else is listing. So you don't really want to do that. And then if you make it about that and they get there and there's 3, 4 other buyers, you can't have that intimate one-on-one consultation to really try to convert them. It gets a little harder too, but if you want to go for it, go for it. So that's the strategy to generate a buyer from it. And the last thing I'm going to cover is now I would go back and door knock the 5, 5, 10, the 5 people to the left of the house, the 5 neighbors to the right of the house, the 10 directly across the street, and say, hey, I hope you got my invite. I invited you to the open house. It's fine that you weren't able to make it, but I just wanted to give you some feedback of how great this neighborhood is. Did you see the line, if there was a line? And say, based on the activity, we have a list of buyers looking to buy, and we really need more inventory. Would you sell at the right price? Is there a price that you would sell? What are your long-term plans with the home? And hopefully you can convert that into a listing appointment. It also gives you the opportunity to piggyback off the activity that they saw and let them know, hey, I may have a buyer. We don't have to put it on the market if you don't want to go through an open house and having random showings, and you can do an office exclusive, or you just put it on the market in normal terms. But I find that it's an easier conversation to have on the follow-up after the open house to talk about the activity and the demand. And if you generate offers, that's a good thing to talk about. Hey, we had multiple offers, so now we need more inventory. Or just it's not the right house for people. Yours may be. Would you sell at the right price? What are your long-term plans with the home, et cetera, and trying to figure it out. So if you plan ahead, if you follow a process every single time, if you're strategic about how you approach open houses, you get excited by them, and you're there with energy, and you, again, execute on the marketing, being prepared, having brochures, having flyers, mailing the neighbors, just doing all these things. And of course, the magic of having a backup property that you set up a preview appointment so you're prepared to go show buyers, that will help you convert not only the buyers that come in, but also the sellers. And I know the feedback has been, hey, a lot of the buyers are coming in with realtors, or they already have a realtor, et cetera. One, that's not all the buyers. Two, they're in your phone. If they get disappointed with their realtor, you don't have to solicit them. They're in your phone. It's easier for them to contact you. Third, it is also an opportunity to meet neighbors and sellers, which I think we all want. So don't look down at open houses. They are not chores. They're opportunities. I know it's a lot busier nowadays. It's a lot more work. You're definitely drained by the time you're done. But again, guys, it's an amazing opportunity. So let me see if I have any questions. If not, we will wrap up on open houses. But feel free to reach out at any point if you want to cover this or have any questions. Hope this was helpful. Again, type in any comments. Let me know you guys were here. Hit the like button. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. I am going to try something that we haven't done in a while, 2 years, a little over 2 years, is next week I will try to do in Cranford a live think tank. So for those agents that are able to make it, we will be doing it in the training room. So I will see you guys next week. Happy selling, everyone.